From a gruesome headless rider to a powerful giant with snakes traversing his body. Here are 11 scariest mythical creatures. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe to They Will Kill You. Hit the like button and request any topics you'd like to learn about in the comments section below. Number 11. Dullahan. This creature from Irish mythology is depicted as a headless rider on a black horse that's pulling a wagon adorned with funeral objects. The wagon's covering is made out of dried human skin. The spokes of the wheels come from human thigh bones, and it has candles in skulls to light the way. The Dullahan carries its own severed head under one arm and uses a human spine as a whip. The Dullahan's head has a hideous grin from ear to ear, and its eyes, which are constantly moving, are able to see in the darkest night. It's said that when the Dullahan stops riding and calls out a person's name, they immediately drop dead. Number 10. Fenrir. Fenrir is a giant, monstrous wolf from Norse mythology. In some texts, the wolf is described as the son of the shape-shifting trickster god Loki and the giantess Angraboa. It's said that during Ragnarok, the end of the world in Norse mythology, there would be a great battle which would culminate with the death of many significant figures. In the battle, Fenrir is foretold to kill Odin, king of the Norse gods. After the gods hear the prophecy that great trouble would come from Fenrir, they decide to bind him. They succeed in doing so, but the giant wolf bites off the arm of Tyr, the god of war, in the process. Number 9. Lernaean Hydra. The Hydra's lair was the lake of Lerna, which was said to be an entrance to the underworld in Greek mythology. This monstrous creature had 9 serpent heads, poisonous breath, and blood so venomous that its mere scent was deadly. Killing the Hydra was nearly impossible, as for each head that was severed off, the monster would grow 2 more in its place. Now, before we move on, answer this question. Which hero from Greek mythology was responsible for killing the Hydra? Was it A. Perseus, B. Theseus, C. Heracles, D. Achilles? Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and stay tuned to find out the right answer. Number 8. Banshee. The Banshee is a spirit in Irish mythology that heralds the death of a family member, typically by shrieking or wailing. She is sometimes described as a cloaked woman with streaming hair, a ghastly complexion, and eyes that are always red from constant weeping. Cutting through the silence of the night, her cries are described as being more mournful and saddening than any other earthly sound. Other times, the Banshee takes the form of a singing virgin who died young and who became the harbinger of impending doom for her mortal family members. Number 7. Yaramayahu. The Yaramayahu is described as a frog-like man with red skin, a massive head, and a large mouth. The legend's origins are found in Australian Aboriginal mythology. The Yaramayahu doesn't have teeth and feeds through the suckers on its hands and feet. It's only active during the day and only targets living prey. It's said to live in fig trees, from where it drops down to drain the blood of unsuspecting travelers. It then swallows its victim whole and regurgitates them until they transform into a Yaramayahu themselves. Number 6. Manticore. The Manticore was a creature in Persian mythology that embodied a number of scary features. It had the body of a lion, a giant scorpion's tail, and the head of a human with an unusually large mouth. Don't let that fool you into thinking that this creature had any humanity in it. From its Persian root, the Manticore's name literally translates as man-eater. It had 3 rows of teeth behind its wide mouth and an insatiable appetite for human flesh. It would slash its victim with its claws or sting them with its tail before consuming them whole, without leaving as much as a single bone behind. Number 5. Aswang. The Aswang is one of the most feared creatures in Philippine mythology. During the daytime, they look and act like normal human beings. However, at night, these shapeshifters turn into bats, crows, black cats, or big black dogs. They usually prey on small children or unborn fetuses, favoring their hearts and livers. Some Aswangs are depicted as having long trunks, which they use to suck unborn children straight out of their mother's wombs while they're sleeping. They'll sometimes replace their live victims with doppelgangers made from tree trunks or plant material. These lookalikes return to the victim's home, where they soon become sick and die. In its human form, the Aswang may be befriended and won't typically harm their friends or neighbors, hence the Filipino saying, an Aswang is better than a thief. The Aswang is vulnerable in its human form because it doesn't possess the superhuman strength it does during its nighttime prowl. It's said that Aswangs only transform at night because they believe God is sleeping. During the daytime, you can spot an Aswang by looking a person straight in the eyes. If your reflection is upside down, it means you're in the presence of the shape-shifting creature. Number 4. Pontianak. This terrifying creature from Malay mythology is depicted as a pale-skinned woman with red eyes, long black hair, and a white dress that's smeared in blood. The Pontianak is often described as the corrupted form of a woman who died in childbirth. She hunts at a full moon, and her presence is usually preceded by high-pitched baby cries. Initially, there might be a pleasant floral fragrance in the air, said to resemble the scent of plumera, but that's soon followed by the stench of rotten meat. The Pontianak is said to pick its victims by sniffing hanging laundry, which is why some Malaysians refuse to leave any clothing outside overnight. Once it's chosen a victim, the Pontianak digs into their stomach with her sharp fingernail and starts devouring their organs. It's said that if your eyes are open when the Pontianak is near, she will suck them out of your head. There's an Indonesian city which is said to have once been a ghost nest named after the monster. Number 3. Gashadokoru. These spirits from Japanese mythology are up to 15 times taller than an average person, and they take the form of giant skeletons. The Gashadokoru are said to be made up of the amassed bones of people who died in battle or of starvation and who weren't buried. After midnight, a lone traveler might hear the sound of loud ringing in the air. That means that the Gashadokoru are approaching them. The giant skeletons then bite their heads off and drink their spraying blood. They're said to possess powers such as invulnerability and invisibility, but one may carry certain charms to ward them off. So, what celebrated Greek hero killed the Lernaean Hydra? If you chose C, Heracles, then you're right. Heracles, also known as Hercules, was the mightiest of all Greek heroes, and he was responsible for vanquishing many monsters. Killing the Hydra was the second of his 12 labors. Heracles was a demigod who possessed incredible strength, but even he struggled at first with the monster. He eventually killed it by cutting off its heads as his nephew Iolaus cauterized the open stumps. Heracles then dipped his arrows in the Hydra's poisonous blood, which would serve him well in killing other monsters during his remaining labors. Number 2. Wendigo. In the folklore of the Algonquian peoples, Wendigo were evil, cannibalistic supernatural beings. In some descriptions, they are gaunt to the point of emaciation, somewhat resembling corpses freshly disinterred from the grave. Their skin is the color of ash. They have the smell of rotting flesh. Their eyes are located deep within their sockets, and their lips are tattered and bloody. They kill and eat people, but they're never satiated, never full, and constantly looking for fresh victims. Wendigo are seen as the embodiment of greed, gluttony, and excess. They might also be described as evil spirits that take hold of people overcome by greed, turning them into cannibalistic monsters. There's actually a term in modern medicine called Wendigo psychosis, a syndrome in which the sufferer intensely craves human flesh and fears turning into a cannibal. Number 1. Typhon. This serpentine giant is often described as the deadliest creature in Greek mythology. The offspring of a primordial deity, Typhon was incredibly strong and often depicted as having 100 heads, the upper body of a gigantic human with his lower half made up of huge coiled snake tails. It's said that he was larger than any mountain, had massive wings on his back and that fire flashed from his eyes. An army of poisonous snakes traversed his body, each capable of spitting rivers of poison. The Greek poet Hesiod described him as terrible, outrageous, and lawless. Typhon attempted to overthrow Zeus, the king of the Greek gods, as the supreme ruler of the cosmos. A cataclysmic battle emerged with Zeus as the victor, aided in battle by his thunderbolts. Typhon was punished and imprisoned in the underworld, or according to some legends, under Mount Etna in what is now Sicily. Thanks for watching. What mythical creature do you think was the scariest? Let us know in the comment section below.